Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Smart Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Raul Cruz, in here with me.
Hey everyone, it's Andrea.
Hey, it's Ben.
What's going on, guys? It's Andres.
Please be excited. This is Kent.
And this is our game chat portion of Super Smart Gaming. So if you want to catch all the latest news of PS4, PC, Wii U, 3DS, PS Vita, PC, make sure to catch the news segment, and that's hosted by Kent. This is a game chat segment, and it's hosted by myself and
Andrea.
There you go. And so also make sure to follow us on Super Smart Gaming on Facebook, super_smart_gaming on Instagram, and Super Smart Gaming on Twitter. I'm posting every day on Instagram. And Andres?
Facebook, I post up pictures, I post up any videos, I post up news, cool stuff about news, and of course my individual and made art, my art. So check that out.
Cool. Wonderful. And Andrea, you're in charge of Twitter, so how active is that Twitter?
Not so much right now, but I am revamping a couple things. Watch out for that. It'll be in the coming week.
Sweet. And so with that, also make sure to catch my newest side quest on the Frozen North. I am a contributor to that podcast. I just did the Deadly Fist of 1990s gaming.
It's hilarious. I heard it.
I had a lot of fun with it. So it's the hand-to-hand combat users of the 1990s gaming scene.
That's funny.
It's please check it out. I had so much fun with it, so please check it out. The Frozen North podcast, it should come out this Monday, which will be, what's the day, the 9th?
Yeah, she should be on the 12th.
The 12th, yes.
Awesome.
Should be that.
That's good. So, what's our topic for game chat?
So for those of you who are who've been with us since the beginning, this is game chat. It's serious topics for serious gamers. That's the slogan I'm working on.
Even
super
serious-
smart gamers.
yes,
there you go.
Serious
Super
topic
smart,
for
serious
serious
gamers.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes we might not act serious.
Oh, we know. There you go. And so our topic today is going to be who reviews the reviewers. And we're going to question and dissect how influential reviewers are nowadays, right? So we follow IGN, GameSpot, Polygon, Kotaku, any other gaming site. And we're going to ask questions. How influential are they? Should they have that much power? And where should we go from here, right? Should we rely more on their reviews, on our reviews? Should be a blend of both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first off, what do you think about reviewers? Do you trust them? Do you not trust them? Do you read them? Do you not read them? No, let's start with Andrea. So what do you think about reviewers?
Reviewers, I think it's a little hard to trust some of them and others just because obviously everyone has their own bias. A lot of it depends on whether or not they get paid. And I do read reviews just because if I'm going to drop, $40, $50, $60 on a game, I want to know that I'm getting my money's worth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
So
yeah.
then on your end, you read them more out of a sense of quality,
Yes.
right? If I pay $60 for a game, am I going to get the game that I was promised?
Yes.
And so Ben, what's your first initial impression of reviewers? Do you read reviewers a lot, or do you follow them a lot?
Not like sometimes yes. No, it really depends. Like if I'm already hyped up for that game already, then maybe I just want to see how other people will like their opinions too. It's kind of like a TV show,
Yeah.
Like me, like I love Marvel's Agent Shield. I love that show, and then later on, I just go like, let's see. Like what other review sites think about it, and it's kind of like it, or like in terms of games, sometimes I do follow them, but then sometimes I read about the game, I read myself like, let's see what other people think, or do we agree, do we disagree, do I hate them, that kind of stuff, so it has some influence on me if I didn't buy the game yet,
Okay.
but not as much, Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah.
All right. So on there, I say, what is your initial impression of reviewers? Do you trust them? Do you read them? Do you watch them on YouTube?
Reviewers. See, it's really hard to trust reviewers because it's their job to be a reviewer. They get paid to review, and it's hard because you don't know if they're getting paid, if they're getting backed by companies. Of course, if you want me to review Animal Crossing, if you want me to review Halo, if you want me to review anything, you want me to say something good about it, so you might send me a video game, you might do something,
Yeah.
So it's very hard to do that. On my end, I feel like I don't follow reviewers just because I just don't follow reviewers. That's it.
So you don't have a favorite reviewer?
I don't.
Okay,
I don't.
Okay.
And when I do see a video game that I want, and I'm very like, oh, should I buy it? Should I not? I look at the people. I look at the comments of the people.
Oh, okay. So
because besides, like let's say Metacritic.
Yeah.
Metacritic will give you like, it's 75 of a game, right? And then people will be like, well, it's actually pretty good. And they'll give you reasons why. And you take into account those reasons and they'll give it like maybe an 85 or something. And then I compile both of those and I'm like, well, the pros and cons of both of these. And that's where I lie. Okay. I listen to reviewers and I listen to the people, and then I have an initial decision.
Okay. So you combine both user reviews and we'll call them for now professional reviews because they're getting paid for. Okay. So Kent, what's your first initial impression of reviewers? Do you trust them? Do you base your purchase on that review?
I think I trust them when I want to.
Okay.
For me, I usually don't read reviews as much, but I do find myself reading reviews when I'm on the fence.
Okay.
Right. So if I knew I was going to buy a game regardless, I would just buy it.
Right. Yeah.
But then every now and then when I'm on the fence about a game, then I start combing through a couple of reviews and see,
what it's rating.
What's rating. Yeah. And then, I do have a handful of reviewers that I trust, or at least trust their opinions. But it's never just one reviewer for me.
Right.
Yeah. So, short answer would be I do, but only a handful.
Okay.
Simultaneously.
Right. Yeah, and that's going to bring me to my next topic. So, Kent, you mentioned something about trusting a few reviewers. Do you have any names that you can tell us right now that reviews that you do trust? So I'll go first. For me, it will be Jose Otero. And I'll mention why I trust them after, I guess, why you name the reviewers that you trust.
For me, actually, it's more of like a site, I guess. I mean, well, to name a name would be, it used to be Brian Crescente. He was one of the first people who started Kotaku.
Okay.
I think now he's with Polygon.
Okay.
He doesn't actually write that much reviews anymore. And for me, also a lot, Colin Moriarty, who used to be with IGN and now on his own show with Kinda Funny.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm plugging them.
It's okay. It's okay.
Doing a better job with them, huh? I'm just kidding.
But so like a few handful. Actually, I used to like reading Greg Miller's. Before he did the whole Up and Noon show, because he took it from a very non-editorial stance. It's just like, I just want to tell you as a friend whether I like this game or not.
Yeah,
that's cool.
But yeah, so those are the names I could think of.
Okay, yeah. For me,
Sorry.
I'll go for it.
I'm gonna call him out. Arthur Geese from Polygon, in my opinion, is the most douchiest reviewer ever.
And so can you elaborate on that? Because that's kind of the whole point of this. And can you tell us why you think he's a douche in reviewing?
Why don't you trust him?
It's not that I don't trust him, but I feel like he purposely choose the opposite stance in order to be more controversial about it. And then when I feel like when I read reviews that are that transparent, it's not that you lose faith in the reviewer, but you're just kind of like, why you're doing
Do you feel like he's trying too hard, or he's being really nitpicky with the game that he's reviewing?
I don't know if that's the thing, right? It's not that he's nitpicky, but I feel like he's almost consciously realizing that by being nitpicky, he is going to generate more
views,
more views.
Yeah.
Right.
I get
more
it.
traffic, right? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it's transparent.
Yeah.
At least when I do read his reviews.
Okay, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this, right? Because for me, it would be Jose Otero. It's a reviewer I trust. He's in Nintendo Voice Chat, and
he's a new blood.
Really?
Yeah. Jose Otero.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and the reason I trust him is because I feel that he aligns a lot with my game interests, right? Whatever games he really likes, I tend to like, so I could kind of trust him when he's critical about a game. He won't be, I guess, to what you said, he won't be on the opposite side just to be on the opposite side. He'll give you his honest opinion about that game, But you brought up a good point about being nuanced in your reviews, right? So a good example I'll give you would be The Last of Us.
Okay.
Right? So The Last of Us got critical acclaim across the board.
Okay.
And I read this interesting article about, it's called Fake Feel Free Pass. And what it used a study, I think it was a study done, it wasn't too long ago, maybe a couple years back, where they put a man in the middle of a bridge.
Okay.
And they had a woman cross that bridge, and the bridge was really high up. So the woman was scared, and she had time to speak to the man. And once she crossed the bridge, they asked her, "Oh, did you find him attractive? Was he good looking?" She goes, "Yes, he was attractive. He was good looking." They did that same concept bit at ground level. So now the man was at ground level.
There weren't any dangers.
So there weren't any dangers at ground level, right?
Okay.
So if you're in a high bridge, your adrenaline's up, your heart's pumping. And they asked her, "Well, did you find him attractive? Was he good looking?" She goes, "No, he's not as good looking as he was when he was on the bridge." So what they found out was, look, you mistake the emotion of love when you're scared, right? Your heart's pumping, your all the adrenaline's rushing, so your brain's equating it to, oh, I must be in love, I must find this person attractive, but it was just really the danger feel. So what the writer of this article was arguing was saying, look, the reason The Last of Us got such high critical acclaim is because it gave you moments of peace and silence with instant moments of intense action.
Yeah.
So your brain confused it with, oh, I must be feeling this, like, this must be such a great game because I keep feeling like my heart, beating faster. I keep feeling all this, like, all these emotions. It must be because it's a great game, not because they're manipulating your emotions through moments of peace and silence and then intense action in a split second.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because some games get more critical acclaim because they know how to manipulate you as a person, right? As through psychology. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, some of you have played The Last of Us, right?
I have.
Yes.
And through that year that game was released, that got more praise than other games. For me, my game of the year for that year was Link Between Worlds.
Okay.
But it didn't get as high praise because it didn't use those type of moments, I guess. But I mean, do you feel that sometimes?
Well, I mean, when you look at...
But do you feel sometimes that game could be overhyped or underhyped by reviewers because of a bandwagon effect? Because of that, I guess, study.
I feel like the bandwagon effect is in play because there's I feel when you have these games on these better consoles, not necessarily better, but they're bigger. Let's say 3DS, it's got better hardware, stuff like that. There's bigger games on there. These guys are they're kind of like, they're the loudest guys.
Right.
You're not gonna lie that PS4, Xbox, they're loud.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these, I feel like them saying, this is the best game ever. This is the best game ever. This is what kind of insinuates the it's the best game ever feel.
Right.
So it's a part of that because I played The Last of Us, and it's a good game. It's really good. I really liked it. I played it 3 times.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it all 3 times.
Right.
But I would not call it Game of the Year.
Really?
Of 2014?
Of 2014. I would not...
Or 13.
It's very hard to say Game of the Year.
13,
yeah.
It's very hard.
I didn't play The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
But, you were talking about emotions. I think I would have to give credit to a game just because it can manipulate your emotions because it isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would have to give credit to that. And maybe if the reviewers had explained that in their reviews, they would be easier to trust just because they understand the way their emotions are working.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not just emotions, I feel, but they put when you look at the game, this isn't just, a run-of-the-mill, they just made it just to make it.
Yeah.
You can tell that they put work into it.
Yeah.
You're not going to lie that all that money, that the money didn't go into graphics. You're not going to lie that money didn't go into voice acting, toning the characters, getting good voice actors. And I feel like, there's these little things that kind of made everything come together and have you make that feel. So it manipulated you. But that manipulation costs a lot of money.
Yeah, that manipulation is also very hard to do in many mediums.
Right.
Let alone
it's. I'm gonna go with what you said. I'm just gonna put a little something in there. You were saying you played Legend of Zelda, and Legend of Zelda
Link Between Worlds. Yes.
Link Between Worlds is a different game than Last of Us. You're not gonna lie that they're two different genres.
Well, that was gonna bring me to my next point, because I've been doing research of the top-selling games in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So I went all the way to 2004. And the top-selling games in American culture, because I'm focusing both on American culture and Japanese culture, have a tendency of being what we call dark, gritty.
Yeah.
Right? Game of the years, most of the time, not like across, like I studied 30 different reviewers, right? Most of the time, they go for the dark, gritty games. Shadow of Mordor, Heavy Rain, The Last of Us. Something that's dark and what we call adult-ish, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about Link Between Worlds, a lot of people say, well, that's a very kiddish game, right?
Very cartoony.
It's very cartoony, doesn't look realistic. In American culture, in the video game industry, we have this obsession, especially with Game of the Year. It has to be dark, it has to be gritty, and it has to look real.
Yeah, like
and so this is where I feel that the line is being blurred about what is a game. So why are games that aren't all these genres? What if a game is just focused on gameplay? It's not dark. It could be colorful. It could be, very cartoony, but they won't consider that Game of the Year. Very much like in the Academy Awards, where they won't consider a comedy a movie of the year. Right? You'll never see an Emmy for comedy, because a lot of movies that win a movie of the year would be something like Her. Right, something like Monster, something that's very dark and gritty and shows the dark side of humanity. But why is it that we need to look at games of the year with that?
Yeah, so I guess you would be saying, I don't know if you were going toward this, Kent, but I guess what do you think the standards are for the reviewers, or at least the reviewers that you read?
What do you mean?
Yeah, because Raul was talking about the standards of what it is to be a game of the year. So what do you think your standards are, and what do you think the reviewers' standards are that you read?
So then when someone asks you game of the year, what are you looking for?
I think for me is that game of the year for me, it's twofold. I think gameplay is important. That's number one that needs to work. If a game doesn't work and if it's not fun to play, then it's
broken.
It's broken, right? Broken. But then the other one is I do look for that emotional drift. Yeah. And an emotional impact from video games. And it is for me personally, I always felt that that's what gaming as a medium for me is. So it's why I enjoy it so much, because for me personally, I always feel that unlike movies, unlike books, or other kind of mediums that we consume, music, video games is something that you're in control.
You immerse yourself in it,
and you're immersing yourself, and you're seeing a lot of time. I mean, we do see it in movies and also in books, especially in books. I would say that we also read through the characters through ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? But with a video game, it's more than that for me. It's the little detail, right? The details of gameplay, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's the gameplay is what fills in that gap of the story. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, my standard that I look for of games that I liked, or that I think deserves games of the year, or is my personal game of the year, is I look for that balance of the emotional immersion of the game, and just the if the gameplay is fun.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
So so I'm gonna bring it back to something that Andres said, right? And you kind of mentioned kind of something where like Kent's going, right? We're about like emotion and immersion, and the question I always ask is who's reviewing the game.
Yes.
Right. So I'll give you a great example of this. So I'm playing Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate right now for the first time, and to me it is one of the greatest games in the world.
Yeah.
But if you've been with Monster Hunter since the PS2, you would say, look, that is a game, I played that since the PS2. It's not that much different. I'll give that an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
So I always question a reviewer, because and I'll ask this question to everyone. Do you feel that a jaded gamer is a better or a worse reviewer than someone that's looking at through brand new eyes? Because also keep in mind that there's always a new generation of gamers, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always the new 10-year-old, the new 7-year-old that's getting into games, and they look at the new Mario as the greatest thing ever. And for me, I like that's the same Mario I played since the NES.
Yeah.
Right.
My problem with the industry right now is that there isn't this nuance or this diversity in gamers. There's always these gamers that have been gamers since Atari, and now they're saying, look, this has been done before, this is cliche. But I feel that limits them in seeing the full potential of that game.
Okay.
Right? There should be a younger voice in there, and we shouldn't just listen to all these old gamers. But I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you feel that does influence them? If you're a jaded gamer, I'll start with Andrea. I'll go for it.
Yeah. I think it's both good and bad. If you've been, gamer for a really long time, I think it's difficult to come out of your nostalgia. It's difficult to, come out. If a game has soured you in the past, it might be difficult to return to it.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as being a new gamer, I think, what do you call it? I think looking at it through a brand new pair of eyes, like you said, that's great. But at the same time, they might not have the same standards or checklists as someone that you kind of came up with or that played the games that you did.
Okay.
I know one thing that was mentioned was the newer generation that what I've noticed is that they really look at the graphics, and that's not a big deal for me.
Right. Yeah.
So their standards are different than mine.
Okay. So Ben, like, what do you think about that? Do you feel that because you've been a gamer for a long time, right?
Yes.
So do you feel that sometimes do you feel that that's a benefit, or does that hinder you in some games? I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's both. I guess it's both like a gift and a curse, because being around for gaming for so long, like I've seen, a lot of types of gameplay, game types, gameplays, graphics, all that good stuff, but then, and that's great, that I've been exposed to it, and it's kind of like, in a way, that's a great thing, so I know what to expect, what I'm looking for. And for my, what I love. But then at the same time, it's also a curse as well, because I'll be like it's like what you guys have mentioned before, it's just like, I've seen this before, but then in a way, I'm going to say actually it's not a bad thing as well, because it's kind of like in movies, like in movies, like let's look at Avatar, everyone was saying that should have won the Academy Award for Best Picture, that's a great movie. And I'm like saying, no, it's not, that, look, it was like an eye candy, that was great. But that movie has been done so many times. Dances with Wolves, The Last Samurai.
But you need a reviewer to tell you that.
No, I don't. Like for me, because I've seen that already before. It's like you always see that. It's like someone tries to, some like cowboy metaphors trying to get rid of the Indian metaphor. By setting the lone wolf metaphor, but then the lone wolf changes sides, kind of.
No, and it's Ken, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, just thinking out loud is do we even need reviewers to say a game is bad or a movie is bad?
And that's where I wanted to go next. Where it is going back to what Andrea said. He goes, look, these people are the loudest in our industry. Right. So then you have, and it'll kind of go to our next question, which go into ethnicity and your culture. And if the people that are loudest in the industry, should they have the say or the power to review a game? So a good example I would give would be Andrea and I. I don't go on Amazon and review. I don't go on GameSpot or GameStop and review a game. I don't give a game a 5. I'll vote with my wallet.
Yeah.
Buy the game, and then I'll say I like it, I don't like it, and I'll buy the next one.
That's how it works.
Reviewers have a far louder voice.
Yeah, they do.
As Andrea said, than I do. So then here's someone that is that grew up differently than me, that likes different games, that wants a certain type of game to be made, and they'll go, look, to their 1,000 followers, they'll say, this is the best game ever, they should make more games like this. But is that right in that sense for them to have that much power? Because it's just one person's opinion and preference saying it to a bunch of other people. And Andres, I'll let you elaborate on this one, because you kind of mentioned it. Do you feel that that's okay that they're the loudest people in the industry?
It's I don't think it is. It's not right, I feel, just because these guys are the people that they put themselves out there, and they put themselves out there like I said, very loudly,
Mm-hmm.
and they have just a group of followers.
Yeah.
Right.
They have a fan base. They have, this guy knows what he's talking about, and I feel it's very hard to branch out to different types of video games, to different types of genres, to experience different things when there's one person that's telling me this is the best game. I hope they make more like this, and if they are, buy that game that's just like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it really
this is
sucks.
it's really hard, isn't it? And it's just a matter of, we have to get people that not only play Call of Duty, not only play Halo, not only play Super Mario, not only play Zelda. We need people that play all types of games.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something that Kent, and I think I've interrupted him twice already. So, something that he keeps mentioning: do we need reviewers to be telling us what games to play? I mean, can you elaborate on that?
I feel like we keep coming back to that.
Yeah, because I think, and then I was thinking about it a little bit more, and almost kind of like backpedaling on my own point earlier, is that actually I think it is important to have reviewers that are at IGN, that are at Kotaku, that are at GameSpot, mainly because at the very least they do have a set of rules, journalism, ethics that they're trying to adhere to, follow by, right? Versus a lot of what we see now on YouTube personalities.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
That
Where
is true.
All chains are,
It's the internet.
unchained, right?
Yeah.
It's the internet.
It's the internet.
Like I'm thinking about Angry Joe, right? And you get a very, very strong, one-sided opinion.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think that's where the danger really comes in.
So I'm gonna push back on that a bit, because I posted up a video on our group about how IGN kind of reviews, or sorry, it was GameSpot, and when you look at their practices, they're not that strict, actually. When you look at how they question each other about a game, so say if I write a review, I wrote a review for Link Between Worlds, I'll go to my editor and I'll say, here's my review, and I'll have 5 other people kind of question me about that. They go, okay, what do you think about sound? Wait, how can you say there's a 10? But a review they did for Chrono Cross, which is I think one of the 8 games that got 10 out of 10 in GameSpot. They outsourced it to someone else, because GameSpot reviewers don't play RPGs. Right, so they're very clear in that. They go, look, we don't play RPGs, so we send someone
freelancer.
And so literally they only ask one question: are you sure about this? And they say, yeah, it's a great game, it's just 10 out of 10. And they go, okay, we didn't ask any more questions. So what that kind of exposed me to in American reviewers is that they don't play a lot of RPGs. So then they'll play Last of Us, because that's a 10-hour game. They'll play maybe Uncharted, that's probably not a 15-hour game. They'll play Halo, it's a 6-hour game. But when it comes to a different culture, such as a JRPG, which is a 60-hour game, they'll either freelance it, or they'll maybe play part of it and go, it's the same thing as anything else. Is it stereotype? So do you feel that because these are white males, American males, that they do have a bias toward a certain genre and game because of their preference and their culture? I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I think there's a little bit of bias, cause it's kind of like you're not giving another culture or another type of game chance. It's kind of like what we're all saying here. It really sucks that it's always going to be just the same kind of genres, and they're always going to review that kind, and it doesn't really give them much exposure to the other kind of games. For me, I just finished Dragon Age Inquisition, and that's a really long and awesome RPG right there. I love it, everybody loves it, all good jazz, But it's like I'm always gonna see the same scores for Call of Duty or Halo. It's gonna be either at least 8 or a 9.
Because it's Call of Duty. You don't change the formula.
Yeah, I know. Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of like, man, they're always giving us a 9 or an 8 for these kind of games.
Yeah. It's because
and then when I see maybe what's that damn game Thief, for example. I'm pretty sure I don't know. I've never played it, but then I saw there was a 6 on it. I'm like, man, did you just not like the genre?
Yeah, did they tear it up?
They tore it up.
I saw it. I saw the what's it called? The trailer, and I'm like, wow, this is a really good looking game. I want to play it. It looks fun. I haven't gotten into it, and I actually want to get into it, but to hear you say that it got a 6, it sounds like they didn't really give it a chance.
Yeah, it's like they're not really. It's like it's kind of like what's that thing I'm trying to say? It's like buying a car, you know, like you already know what your preference is, you know. You want that sports car, you want it red, you want XM radio on it, or whatever it's called. But you're not gonna give the other car a chance that has like whatever, you know, like that's just like a family car, you know, that kind of stuff. You just know, I want that one already. This car just sucks, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Ben. I think I don't think it matters who you are, or I mean, you're always gonna have a bias no matter who you are because of what you grew up with. But at the same time, I don't see what's wrong with having a preference over a game as long as you're reviewing the game that you like.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Oh well, just because obviously you're gonna go through it. If you're gonna go through a game, you're gonna have to want to play it. I mean, if you're not gonna want to play it, you're just gonna rush through it. You're gonna miss a lot of things, and you're not gonna give a good review.
Right. Yeah.
Which brings up the next point, right? Gamer burnout. So think about if I'm a reviewer, right?
Okay.
And I think Kent could attest to this, where you know he went to a Sony event and you know he talked to a lot of you know people and I think he told me a story where like they'll tell you like it's just me working for like 8 hours playing video games. It's just a job now.
Yeah.
So you know if I'm reviewing Monster Hunter 3, I'm playing it at my leisure. I'm having a blast. It's so much fun. But if this is my job, you know, and if I take a genre that I really dislike, genre I really dislike is these very dark, gritty. I don't like those games. I don't like games like that are. And I don't want to name names, but if it's dark and gritty, I tend not to like it. I like more like fun, bouncy, you know, more colorful games.
Dark and gritty too.
Dark and gritty too. So if I'm playing a game that I dislike, I am gonna go into it thinking I'm gonna find every single flaw in this game. Because I don't like horror genres. I don't like them at all. So I'm gonna say this was wrong with it. As a reviewer that's being paid, I can say, oh, I'm unbiased. I'm gonna be as unbiased, and I'm not gonna let my preferences, you know, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like that's a good word that I can't find.
Get in the way.
Like stain my review, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of the preferences, instead of giving it a 9, I might give it 8.5. I might give it an 8 because I'm not catching my own biases, right? And I post another study in our group that says we cannot catch our own biases. We are human. We're fallible. No matter how conscious you are, you will be biased.
I think a lot of times people don't want to admit it, but as reviewers, they should go up to their editors and admit that they are biased toward a game. Then they would be set on certain projects, and it's like everything else, right? In life, you know, if you go to college, you choose a major. Why would this be any different?
Because this major's the best. Screw the others, right?
And Kemp brought up that point. He goes, "Look, there's that guy at Polygon, right? Brian, what's his name? Brian what?
Arthur Geese.
Arthur Geese. Sorry, Arthur Geese. Sorry, Brian.
I believe he actually gave The Last of Us a 6.
See." So he's reviewing,
very interesting review.
He's reviewing it on that note, right? He's saying, "Look, I'm gonna be the opposite. I know that if I piss enough people off, they're gonna come and listen to me just to piss them off."
Yeah.
And a lot of people do look for that extreme.
Yeah,
right? A lot of
they
people
do.
looking in reviews they're looking for a 10, a 9, or a 4, or a 5.
Just
right?
so they could piss on
Anywhere
it.
in like 7, 8, no one really reads it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like 7 or 8. It's like whatever. You know, people.
Like I feel like IGN is just throwing 10s and 9s like nonstop now. There's probably like 10, 9 out of 10 games.
The Oprah
Right.
Winfrey's, you know?
Yeah.
You get a 10. You get a 10.
Everybody.
Everybody
You know,
gets a 10.
And you know, coming back to the reviewers that I like to read, and kind of getting back to Kotaku a little bit. Kotaku as a site, I still enjoy reading reviews, especially now, because their review system, they have completely abandoned point systems in Kotaku.
Yeah.
And then every review they have comes down to
Yes or no.
should you play this game, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that is what I want to hear
Right.
as someone who's looking for a game. Is I just want to know the extreme. Really, I think is this game completely broken, so I don't need to buy it, or give this game a chance, right?
Yeah, that's what I like about their reviews always in the first place. I didn't like it when they changed that one format where didn't have the yes or no anymore, because like it was like they just kind of pointed out the bad and the good. That was good. But yeah, that's what I like about it. It's like in the end, even though if they say yes, you should play X, but there are these broken or like bugs or problems that the person has. It's to say, great game, you know. Problem is that the game is just too short or whatever, or it's like
No,
this game's terrible, but I like the colors of the game. You know.
No, yeah, that's always a problem every time. I mean, I see that all the time. And
Right.
There was this one game that I talked about, Asura's Wrath, and Raul was very critical about it. And we're not gonna talk about it.
Yeah, I remember
Okay.
It's I'm not gonna lie, it's a short game. It is. And he says things about it, and I don't care just because I know I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm on the same boat as you. I didn't actually buy the game. I did play enough of it,
Yeah.
and
It's typical.
I enjoy that game for what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's the premise of that game, right? It's
Yeah.
To be fair, that's what I told him. By the way.
right. Like for what that game is, I think it's a great game.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
and I feel like that's kind of how every game is, man. I can point something about
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger. I don't like that. Actually, it's hard. I don't like that one song in the forest.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It can be really something as simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And
I'll go for it.
literally, I was on Metacritic, and it was like, oh my god, it was just, well,
They're nitpicky.
yeah.
Metacritic is not.
I think I saw one person complaining about a voice actor. I'm like,
Oh
you
yeah.
can't-
Well, they complain about Symphony of the Night voice actor for
Yeah.
To be fair, some voice actors can ruin.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Some actor, but I thought it was good.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 10.
Final Fantasy X.
But even with Final Fantasy X, right? Like,
You had a good amount of voice
the
actors.
general consensus is like, oh wow,
It's
the
not that
story
bad.
really hit me or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's.
But then like when you kind of like,
doable.
It's okay.
and then when Tita started laughing, and you're like, okay, hang on.
It was mine that Metal Gear Solid was released, I believe, in 1997, and they perfected voice acting. Final Fantasy X was released in 2001, and it was 4 years. Anyway, but
No,
yes.
It depends. It depends on how deep that pocket
Stop
is.
it, Ben.
But
It was Titus. It was Titus and Ben. Titus and Ben. It was Titus. it was Titus and Yuna that kind of messed that game up for me.
No, Lulu was kind of dry. Anyway, but
Waka was actually kind of cool. Dude, you're not gonna lie.
I
That
never-
Hawaiian man is
I still
awesome.
haven't played
best
it.
voice actor in that game was Aaron.
Aaron is
hands
awesome.
down.
Yeah, he was.
And that's only because he's just speaking normally.
Pretty much.
That's funny.
But kind of bringing that back, because I feel that both of you, both Kent and Andres, and you're talking more about preferences, right? There's always going to be a person that is going to like one thing over the other.
And that's where you can't trust reviewers.
Yeah.
And so that's going to bring us back to our topic, right? Should we, as consumers, be reviewing reviewers? So I'll give you a good example. Arthur Geese, did I get his name right?
Yep.
Should there be a platform where I review Arthur Geese, right? Out of a 10-point system where I have a yes or no, can I trust this reviewer? And as consumers, we'll get together in a group and we'll say, look, Arthur Geese, you're doing it just because you want to be the opposite, right? So
You
I
want to be
trust the
Arthur
review.
Geese.
So do you feel that we should?
That's why.
That we should be more empowered to review, not only agree or disagree with the game, right? Like if Arthur Geese says, "Look, Link Between Worlds is a horrible game," and I could go on his comments and go, "Look, no, you're wrong," or should I be, "Look, Arthur Geese, here's where you messed up as a reviewer. Here's what you did right, what you did wrong." Should there be a system where we hold reviewers accountable? So I'll start with on this side. Now I'll start with Kent. Should we have a system where we take more into account reviewers?
Yeah, and I think these reviews would appreciate it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not antagonizing these reviewers, right? They're human beings too. It turns out.
I don't know.
Human beings with a lot of money.
And I'm
apparently.
sure, they had the same aspiration and passion, before they get into the whole, machinery of, these companies. So, I'm sure they have good intentions, right?
Yeah.
But then maybe over time they get jaded and that sort of thing. And I imagine it would be appreciative if they get to see a counter argument, a very constructive counter argument. Unfortunately, most counter arguments are not constructive, right?
No, they're not.
Nope.
And you read through any comments, it's it's
Just for
all
the
the,
hell of
in
it.
the end,
it's
all
just
those,
everyone's
all those
firing
comments,
blank shots.
Yeah, those comments, they all sound like some schoolyard argument, like I'm wrong, I'm right, and you're wrong, like
Yeah.
in the
Because
end,
I mean, not unfortunately, it is the nature of our industry.
Exactly,
But
yeah.
most people who are on those comments, those forums, are probably people who are still in grade school, well, not grade school, but you know,
Middle
like
school.
middle school,
Yeah,
a younger crowd, right?
Yes.
And IGN and all those websites, they have the statistics on those things, and they know who their
They know who
audiences
goes
are.
on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so so Ken, you do feel that we should have an account, like a system that holds them accountable.
Yeah.
So Andres, like, do you feel professors are getting rated? It's called Rate My Professor.
Yes.
Right. So Andres, do you feel that we should have something like that for reviewers called Rate My Reviewer, where we could review the reviewers?
I mean, we already kind of have it. And when you go on YouTube, you have the people that comment, the people that dislike, and the non-dislike, the like, dislike.
Also subscribe.
You have the subscribe. You
That's
have
right.
that. And when you see a lot of the comments, some of them are just random.
Right.
There's ones that are serious, and then there's ones that are just they're looking for a fight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they're looking for a fight, and it's just so if we could take that aspect of YouTube or something and just improve upon it and have serious, which I don't think we are gonna get, that serious people that go in there and like this is what we gotta do, guys.
The day
This is what we gotta do.
The day that's gonna happen is the day when pigs spontaneously just start to fly.
Yeah, we can't do that.
And
Okay.
that's, I mean, but that's
We could, but this is what people are gonna say. You sound preachy. Stop. Why are you
Yeah.
on here?
it's a scholastic
Exactly.
approach.
Guy Jingumba, huh?
Gaijin.
And then they'll say something vulgar.
And then they'll be like, yeah.
So and Ben, I'll pose this question to you as well.
Wait, Kent was gonna say something.
Oh, go
Were you
for
gonna
it,
say
Ken.
something?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that it's a scholastic approach, right? It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very academia driven style, which
Yeah, and you're not gonna lie that
peer
Which-
reviewed. Yeah.
Yeah, peer
right?
review.
It'll be
That's good.
peer reviewed, right? But that's just not the nature of how.
that's
these-
not the nature of
That's
the
not
internet
entertaining.
itself.
Yeah. Human nature just wants to be right.
No, like you're not gonna lie that on the internet it's very hard to discuss something serious.
Yes.
Yes.
It will
It
be.
is
You're not gonna
Yeah.
lie. You're not gonna lie.
Which is the reason why we wanted to do game chat, serious topics for serious gamers, because it's very difficult.
Yeah, it really
to
is.
find that
It's
chat.
hard, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then, Ben, do you if there was a system to hold reviewers accountable, would you be part of it?
Yeah, I would. What I would like. It's just to say, like Greg Miller when he was like still on IGN,
Yeah.
he's like a giant play. Like he said, he mostly plays PlayStation, and that's cool and all. But I want something that's kind of like John Smith. He reviews the next, let's say, NBA game. But on the bottom it says like John, his preferred genres that he likes to play are mostly like romance games or something like I don't know.
Yeah.
And then that way it could be like, okay, I'm reading his review, but then he mostly like this genre, but then it's kind of like an opposite genre, like a completely different genre that he doesn't really play all the time. So it's kind of like should I really kind of be trusting
Should
this
you
kind
get into it?
Yeah, should I really get into it based on someone who's who's kind of a fresh take on that game.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
And-
Okay.
Yeah,
so
no.
then you want a disclaimer,
Yeah,
right? So then say, what's his name? Greg? What?
like Greg Miller.
So Greg Miller's on YouTube, and suddenly he's about to do a review bit. Before that video plays, he could put, "Look, I like, first-person shooters, or I like JRPGs.
Yeah,
so
like he likes-
mine might
yeah.
be biased."
Yeah, like he likes
Yeah.
apples,
And,
but he's
they-
gonna review an
so
orange.
full transparency.
Yes.
Got it.
And they do, some of them do have done that. Actually,
do.
Greg Miller is a good example. I remember Greg Miller, no longer at IGN,
Yeah.
he was a super fan of Infamous.
Okay.
That's right. He was. Yeah.
And
he is.
He was such a fan, and he has so much pull from the community. At some point, he didn't like the new character design of Infamous 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think he tweeted about it, and the actual game designers changed the look.
Yeah.
The character designer, right? And he was such a big fan, and for him, he went out his way. He said, "Look, I cannot review this game objectively, so I'm not going to review it." And so he never did review Infamous 2.
Wow.
But actually, on my end, I actually want him to review Infamous 2, because that's, as someone who's such a hardcore fan to it, I want to hear his opinion, whether it's,
Straight
hey,
from
is
the
it what he
horse's
thought it
mouth,
is?
yeah.
Yeah, or is it something else?
Okay.
Rather
That's
than
good.
somebody else's. So, kind of back to your point, you should get people who are, like, reviews needs to be the die hardcore fan reviewing the items that they're going through. Right?
Okay. All right,
This
so,
for me is how I feel about it.
all right, so then I'll have Andrea have the last word on this game chat. So, first the question would be, would you be part of this, I guess, system
Rate my reviewer.
of like rate my reviewer, and also what will be your final advice about reviewing the reviewers?
Okay, so for the first one, a couple of things. No, I wouldn't be. Just because it would be really difficult to go through so many reviewers and to, just comment on everything or watch everything. And I wouldn't want to watch, or maybe I would, someone who isn't in line with my thoughts or with the types of games that I like. But at the same time, I probably would watch those really horrible just nitpickers like Kent said.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Right?
All
right.
It's like
So,
you just want to grab
would you-
popcorn and eat and just read
Would you?
stuff.
I'm gonna ask one more question, and it's
Go
like, would you like to get the guy, the one that's the babe in the woods?
Oh, don't use that.
The what?
No, I'm serious. I don't know if you guys. It's the babe in the woods, man. The guy that doesn't know what he's doing, that's barely experiencing this game for the first time.
Uh-huh.
Would you like to see his?
Yeah, I think, well, as for my final piece of advice, yeah, I think it would be great to have a good pool of different reviewers just so that you can see it from every angle. But at the same time, you're obviously going to have your own opinions from the trailers that you see.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be your, I'm going to say your ultimate decision would just be you and the trailers that you see and what you honestly think of what you saw.
And then the part that comes into it is, do you think that a lot of people are gonna look down on these guys and see them as ignorant or something?
Persons.
People.
Yes.
Well,
persons.
what do you mean?
Because when you experience something for the first time, and people say, well, that's just kind of like Super Mario Bros. 2, or that's already. So they say something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And are people gonna be saying, oh, well, these guys are ignorant, they don't know anything? Are we gonna have? Are we gonna have people like that? How successful will these people? How successful will these people be?
Will the new reviewers?
The new reviewers, yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Would you listen to them?
Yeah, I definitely would.
Okay, that's
And then to the reviewers' defense also, and a lot of them do say this, and I do agree that a lot of people read reviews to justify their purchases.
Yeah.
And I think
that
that's
was
something
like
on
my
our
first
end.
Yeah, sorry.
That's something on our end that we have to work on too. I do find myself that happening too, right? Like you bought something, and it's unique in video games because unlike movies, where you don't care. Like, right? Roger Ebert gives some movie 1 star, right? Well,
Commando,
that's if he's
I
dead
will
now.
watch it. Yes.
right?
Yes.
But you're like, I don't care. It's good. I liked it, right?
Yeah.
But with video games, it's harder because it's $60. It's a lot of money.
A lot of money. And GameStop will only give you $5 back if you sell
Yes.
it. Yeah.
I remember.
What? That's a new
So-
game.
I think it's also
$5.
on our end to make sure that we don't fall in that trap of
Yeah. And
justifying our own
and kind of
purchases.
going along what Andres said, and one of my favorite writers is Yukio Mishima, and in one of his books he writes, look, the thing about young people is that they always think that they're the first ones to experience something. So a good example would be if someone that's never played Mario and they play Mario, they go, no one else has ever experienced this the way I've experienced this game, and it's the greatest game ever. So yes, they could be naive, but at the same time, they could kind of remind us why we love this genre, why we love Mario, right? So someone that plays Link Between Worlds for the first time has never played Zelda and go, this is the greatest series ever. I love this series, and they could remind me why I love this series.
And I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
So-
or they could catch something new that you kind of ran through because you thought you knew this game.
Or they could remind you something that you forgot.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I might have forgotten, wow, that's true. I love the Zelda series because the puzzles are very clever, and I kind of forgot about that. So in kind of ending on that note, yeah, we should be kind of what Kent was saying right now. We should be more knowledgeable consumers, and at the same time, we kind of are gonna like what we like. So for me, Commando and Expendables gets horrible reviews. But I cannot lie, those are fun movies.
Right, yeah.
I can watch Steven Seagal, breaknecks from the 90s, and I will love it every single time.
Same here, yeah. It's like, I mean, I'm going, what was that damn game?
That's Steven Seagal, man.
No, it's like that one game, Beyond Two Souls, it didn't get that great reviews, but I'm like, screw you, I like it, I mean, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
it's
at the end of the day, if you like it,
yeah,
that's
it's it's all
what
about you,
matters.
okay?
Yeah.
It's all about you. It doesn't matter if this person gives it like a 2 or a 10. If you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. That's your choice, right
And
there.
I think that's a great note to end on.
That's right.
Did you have anything to add?
Just that, there should be a system where we can review the reviewers.
Yes.
Yes.
There should be that.
Who watches?
Yeah.
Who watches the watch?
we need Metacritic for reviewers, right?
We need the meta critic. There you go.
There you go.
And
honestly, don't like that site that much.
yeah, I mean, but Metacritic just gets all the scores of all reviewers. But the problem with that system is that all reviewers have different systems to review with, and so it gets convoluted.
And it's
what?
It's like I like that part, but I don't like the user part. Cause like if it's like, cause something to just troll, That's the part I
yes,
hate about it.
trolls do exist. Yes.
That's the
I
part I
think
hate.
we have to be more intuitive, man, with
Yes.
everything that's around us.
Yes.
And
Yeah, and again, I could be honest, I don't like dark, gritty games. So if I were to play games that are like that, I'm gonna give it a low score, right?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
At least you're
Yeah,
honest. At least you're honest.
Here's another hard thing to do. The best thing to counter all of this is don't buy your game on day one.
Don't buy your game on day one.
Wait,
Yeah,
wait
and you
a
can sit-
week, wait a month. Let your own hype subside. Let all the reviews that's gonna come out come out.
Yeah,
Is that Destiny advice?
No,
Right?
this is coming from a person who said in our previous like super smart gaming episode that day one Phantom Pain
Yep.
purchase right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's true. And I'm taking a risk.
Right, yeah.
So
That's the thing.
That's
right?
true,
But
yeah.
I am gonna be honest. I'm gonna buy Majora's Mask day one, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate day one, Zelda Wii U day one. So because I know that I'm gonna like it. Know your preferences.
Yeah.
And don't try to change because of a bandwagon or hype. You could try new
Yeah.
games, but don't
No,
ever try to.
Don't be afraid to
Yeah,
try
don't
new
be afraid.
games.
But it's also
I
kinda-
don't. Okay.
That's why it's kind of like those double-edged sword with those early reviews when those people do.
Yeah.
Like Assassin's Creed with the Unity.
Yes. Yes.
That helps kill
No,
the
no,
game.
seriously. Don't be afraid to try. Do you?
But yeah. Don't be afraid.
No,
If you
no,
like it, you like
Raul
it.
here.
Yes.
Raul, he
Yes.
you didn't play Monster Hunter before.
I did not. No, I
You didn't.
not.
You didn't play Minecraft before.
I did not. Remember, I talked a lot of trash about my.
You talk. He would tell me it sucked. I'm like, it doesn't suck, man.
No, I said it was stupid, but then
It's
I
the same
found
thing.
out it was awesome.
Right.
And it's true. It's true. Don't be afraid to try new games.
Don't be
but
afraid to try
If
new
you don't
games.
like the game and someone's telling you should love the game and you don't like it, then move on. But
Maybe not love the game, but obviously
Enjoy the
people
game,
have
yeah.
friends.
there you go.
Just give
Yeah.
it a try.
Give it a try.
Okay, and at I think right now we're getting into Dr.
It's
Phil.
like really mushy.
We're getting really advicey
We
and
should
preachy.
have ended like 10 minutes ago.
Okay, so with that, please follow us on Facebook under Super Smart Gaming. Our Instagram is super_smart_gaming. Our Twitter is Super Smart Gaming. Our email is supersmartgaming.ssg@gmail.com. I forgot to say that in the beginning of the episode. Also, review us on iTunes and Podomatic. And make sure to catch our news podcast, which is hosted by Kent. And they cover PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, Xbox
Xbox.
One, 3DS. Anyone?
Yeah, 3DS.
And it's just
Well,
games in general.
Kent had a jab at Monster Hunter in that news one while I was producing it or whatever, but
Let it go.
let it go. But please make sure you catch that. It was a really funny episode. I was
Yeah.
laughing the whole time.
All right.
And with that, I'm your host, Raul Cruz. This is Game Chat, and here with me.
It's Andrea.
All right, it's Ben.
And it's Andres.
Please be excited. This is Kent.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you so much for listening.
All right, later, guys.
Peace out.